Hey guys, Dylan Sider with Kinfolk Carpentry here, and today we're going to do some framing, and I'm going to show you a tool that I've talked about on the channel but I've never quite reviewed or gave my thoughts on, and that is my cordless framing nailer, the Paslode. So stick around, I'll give you some framing tips. This is a pretty complicated project, lots going on, like a typical remodel, so yeah, we'll get into it. So I've framed this whole project so far, spent 2 days here. It's a friend of mine's house, so I'm just kind of working as I have time to get this thing framed up for him. It's more or less just like an old farmhouse upstairs, you know, a closet over here, framed in the stairwell. It's 2 small little bedrooms here, yeah, fun little project. So today we're gonna frame in some cubbies in here, frame a doorway in here, do some blocking where it's needed, and yeah, that's the goal. I'm excited to finally get to do a review on this nailer. I bought it almost a year ago, probably 10 months ago now at this point. I framed a couple basements with it, and obviously I'm framing the project that's in this video, that upstairs, and I wanted to go over some of the pros and cons with this framing nailer. So one of the pros of this gun for sure is the ergonomics. I've used quite a few different nailers. I've used the Hitachi cordless, or I guess Metabo now, the Milwaukee, the DeWalt, and this is my favorite like footprint. I feel like it's the smallest gun and the lightest gun, which is very nice. Another pro is I love the little rafter hook. I find a lot of them are kind of very bulky and oversized, and they're more meant for like rafters and things, which this one can go both ways. It can just hook on a belt, and it has a nice little loop on it, and then you can push it up and flip it around, and then it can hook on a 2x4 there. So the hook is very nice on this gun, which I really like. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm creating another wall like this over here, and what I'm doing is they want these 40 inches deep, so I'm going 40 and a half because there'll be drywall on it. 40 and a half from here. I'm putting a screw. I'm going to do the same thing down here, and then I'm going to put a laser down there and line up those 2 lines and put my plates in and stick frame it. And that will be done. So that's what I'm working on right now. All right, so as you can see here, got the laser set up. It is right on my screws on each top and bottom. That gives me a line for my top plate, so I'll put those in and get ripping, put some studs in. So this is the tricky freaking who needs a shoulder workout? Goodness sakes. That's wrong. That's wrong. Oh, that's good for tennis elbow. Boom. Shakalaka. Okay. That's remodeling, folks. Another pro with this whole package is the case. I do really like the case. It comes with a charger, and it has a little spot where you can store nails. That's really nice in remodeling, where you can just have the whole case, you grab it, bring it into a job. You only need to nail like whatever, 10 or 15 studs. You got all kinds of nails with you right in the case. That is a big plus. Another pro I find is this thing, even if you read online about this gun, the pros are that it's super reliable. I have never had this thing jam, not once. So this project is what we call in the industry a BAYG, build as you go. It doesn't have a plan. There's nothing drawn out. It's he's a plumber friend of mine, and he's just trying to finish his house on a budget, low cost. So I'm basically working by the hour, and we're just kind of coming up with ideas together. This is a very kind of tricky spot with all these roof angles and how do you drywall it, and some of it's going to be figured out at finish. So like up here, this is kind of a rat's nest. I established a ceiling the last time I was building, and there's no real easy way to finish this off. We're gonna do a lot of like knotty pine up here, kind of cabinish feel. So I'm probably gonna build like a box header here to kind of cover this up where the drywall just can't be finished. And the same with this. This is gonna be like knotty pine walls here. I'm just chopping this stuff off flush, and some of it's just going to be dealt with at finish. We're just going to make it look good as we go. So that's kind of how this project is progressing. Kind of making it up on the fly. Build as you go. This gun does have quite a few cons. One thing I find very annoying about this gun is that needs to be pulled back to put a strip of nails in. If you put a strip of nails in while that's down, it won't go through. Whereas, I don't know, it's just like a weird little tick with me where I'm like, oh, I just wish I could just slide it in and cock it back. But so I constantly am like feeding a strip of nails in, and then it like pushes itself back out. Another big con is that it requires gas. So yeah, you put a gas cartridge in the top here, and you get 1,200 nails. So that's half a box of Paslode nails. You can send through it on one cartridge, and the cartridges, I just bought one last week, $17.99. So it's kind of pricey for only shooting half a box of nails. Now I don't really mind because it gets charged to the client. It's not something that like I absorb, but it is an extra added cost. And I would say that is a big deterrent for people. Another thing that really annoys me about this gun is that well, first of all, I'm on the DeWalt platform, and obviously my battery doesn't go in here. But the big thing is I've forgotten so many times to turn it off, and if you that's the on and off switch, is basically pulling the battery in and out. It says, you can see right there, it says off, and then you push it down and it says on. Well, it doesn't say on. It just has a blinking green light on it when it's on. See? So, but if you just forget to pull your battery out and you put it back in the case, it won't automatically shut off. It will just drain the battery out. And because I don't have any other guns, it only comes with one battery. There's times that it's like left me hanging when I'm like on a job. I want to start framing and I have to like screw everything for an hour and a half till my battery charges, which is super annoying. I should really get a second battery and make sure that I'm kind of charging it as I'm going. So that is a big annoyance for sure, is the on and off and that it drains the battery. It doesn't automatically just kind of shut itself off after a while, like all the battery nailers. So I would say that is the pros and the cons of this gun. I would say it's similarly priced to all the other guns. They vary. I bought this on clearance at my lumber yard. That's why I own this gun. I walked in and it was a great deal, and I was like, I didn't have a cordless gun, and but it's treated me really well, and it's very reliable. So if you're in the market for one, this really is a great option. I love the way it feels compared to other guns, but it does have some setbacks. Sorry about the choppy video this week, but thanks for sticking around anyway and listening to my thoughts on the cordless Paslode nailer. Feel free to drop a comment on what your favorite cordless framing nailer is. I'd love to hear it, and we'll see you on the next video.